Hi guys! Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Amelia. This is Sydney. And the cat that just left is Courage. He has 3 legs, but doesn't slow him down. And we got them both from the Humane Society of Huron Valley. At the Humane Society, I fostered kittens and volunteered. And today I'm going to be reading you Harley Saves the Day by the Vice President of Humane Education at Humane Society, Karen Patterson, and illustrated by Nina Robichaud. I think I'm saying that right. I remember the first time I saw Anthony. I had just opened my eyes from a long nap, and he was standing over me. "Isn't he cute? I love his big paws," I heard him say. I perked up my ears and looked at him. I expected him to keep walking, since most people seemed afraid of my large head and loud bark. Instead, Anthony knelt beside me and extended his hand. I took a big sniff. He smelled great, like fresh-cut grass. We instantly became friends. Goodbye, Sydney. You'll miss the story. I'm sorry. Life with Anthony was a dog's dream. I woke up every morning in my squishy bed. I always had a full tummy, and I got to spend lots of time rolling in the grass. My favorite thing to do was to take walks, just the 2 of us. I was happy. One day, we had just left our house for a walk when Mrs. Robertson, one of Anthony's neighbors, ran out of the house pointing angrily at me. "Get that dog away from my house. He's going to hurt someone. Look at him," she yelled. Now I know that maybe I wasn't the most handsome dog, but hurt someone? I would never do that. A few other neighbors joined in, telling Anthony to take me home and keep me inside. One man even said he was going to call the police if I ever came near his kids. Anthony desperately tried to talking with them, but eventually he tugged on my leash and led me back home. I didn't think much of it until Anthony left for work the next morning, without taking me on our walk. I thought maybe he was just too tired. When he arrived home that evening, I ran to my leash excitedly. He patted my head and sighed. "Sorry, Harley. No more walks. I know you're a good boy, but the neighbors are afraid of the way you look." I lay back down on my dog bed, feeling sad. The next afternoon, I was out in the yard watching a squirrel when a strange smell drifted up to my nose. I sat up. Woof! I ran to the fence and looked across the street. Dark smoke was blowing from Miss Robertson's house. It's a fire. "Help me!" I heard her cry. Worried now, I began barking and jumping wildly against the fence. "What's wrong, Harley?" Anthony asked as he rushed over. "Oh no! Fire!" he yelled. He opened the gate and I pushed past him, running as fast as I could toward the burning house. Anthony chased after me, calling frantically for me to come home. I didn't look back. I was going in to save her. When I reached Mrs. Robertson's house, I climbed through an open window onto the ground floor. The smoke inside was thick, and it made it hard to see. I heard Mrs. Robertson still crying for help from the upstairs. Her voice sounded weak. I raced up the stairs, coughing to clear the smoke from my lungs. My heart was pounding. I couldn't catch my breath, and I couldn't see. I was starting to feel like I couldn't go any further when I heard a faint, "Help me, please," from the next room. I pushed a bit farther until I felt Mrs. Robertson's leg beneath my paw. I nuzzled her with my nose, but she didn't move. I knew she was in trouble, but what could I do? With my last ounce of energy, I stuck my head through the window and gave my loudest "woof!" Then I collapsed to the floor. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the grass and people were staring down at me. Anthony was rubbing my head. "You'll be okay, buddy," he said. I licked Anthony's hand and closed my eyes, feeling safer with my best friend by my side. After a visit to the animal hospital and a few days of rest, I felt like myself again. It caught me by surprise one morning when I heard Anthony say a word that he hadn't said in weeks: walk. I jumped up in excitement and ran round and round Anthony's legs. He laughed as he clipped the leash to my collar. As we started down the street, Mrs. Robertson saw us through the window and came running outside. Feeling nervous that she was going to yell at me again, I took a step back. To my surprise, she knelt down and extended her hand. I leaned my body forward and cautiously sniffed her. She gently put her hands on my chest and began to pet me. "Thank you, boy," she whispered. "You saved my life. You're my hero, Harley." I pressed my face against hers. Before I knew it, other neighbors coming out to the house, all wanting to meet the hero dog. I was a celebrity. I held my head high and wagged my tail. I can't even tell you how many treats I was given. It was the best day ever. As we headed back home from our walk, I knew things had changed. You see, it no longer mattered what I looked like or that my bark was big and loud. All that mattered now was that everyone saw the real me, and I was happy. All right, that's the end of the story. Karen wrote an awesome note at the end of this book, so I just wanted to highlight the last few sentences. It's important to take the time to get to know a person or animal to see what they are really like. Even if you don't get along or want to spend time together, still acting with kindness can make everyone feel happier. All right, I hope you guys stay safe, and thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, see ya.